He confessed, but what police found next changed everything. Subscribe for more real crime stories. Like, share, and join the discussion below. It was August 15th, 2018, inside the small interrogation room of the Frederick Police Department in Colorado. The fluorescent lights buzzed softly as Chris Watts sat across from detectives, his eyes empty, his voice calm. Hours earlier, he had told the world that his wife, Shanann, and their 2 young daughters had vanished. Now, he was about to confess. "I'll tell you what happened," he said, breathing heavily. "But you're not going to like it." Detective Tammy Lee leaned forward. "Where are they, Chris?" He hesitated, staring down at his hands. Then came the words no one in the room expected. "I killed her," he whispered. "I killed Shanann." The detectives froze. After days of searching, the truth they'd feared was finally spilling out. But what Chris said next twisted the case in a way that even seasoned investigators couldn't have predicted. He claimed that Shanann had killed their daughters, and in a blind rage, he just reacted. It was a story so unbelievable that officers exchanged glances in silence. The father who'd stood on his porch pleading for his family's safe return on national TV was now admitting to murder. But something felt off. His voice was too steady, his words too clean. The confession was only the beginning. Investigators knew they had to find the truth and find where he hid them. That night, as the Colorado wind swept through empty fields, officers followed Chris's directions to an oil site owned by his employer. The headlights from police trucks cut through the darkness as they reached 2 massive oil tanks standing like silent sentinels. Nearby, a shallow patch of dirt looked recently disturbed. When they began to dig, the beam of a flashlight caught something pale beneath the soil. Moments later, one of the officers stepped back, shaking his head. "We found her," he said quietly. It was Shanann, but the search wasn't over. Chris had said the girls were close by. An officer climbed one of the oil tanks, his heart racing, hands trembling as he opened the metal hatch. What they found inside would change everything and destroy the last bit of innocence left in that quiet Colorado town. The truth was darker, colder, and more calculated than anyone had imagined. And what police uncovered next would expose a lie so deep it would make the world question how far a man would go to hide his sins. Just hours after his chilling confession, investigators knew Chris Watts wasn't telling the full truth. His story didn't match the evidence. The calm tone, the rehearsed words, the emotionless face, it all felt wrong. As dawn broke over Frederick, Colorado, the search team continued their grim work at the oil site. The air smelled of dirt and gasoline. Investigators in white suits moved carefully, documenting every inch of the area. When one officer radioed in, his voice cracked. The bodies of Bella and Celeste, Chris's daughters, had been found hidden inside the oil tanks. Detective Lee froze when she got the call. The confession had been a lie. Chris hadn't lost control. He had planned it. Back at headquarters, agents from the Colorado Bureau of Investigation and the FBI confronted him with the evidence. The timeline didn't fit. Shanann's phone was still at home. The neighbor's security camera had recorded something strange. Chris backing his work truck into the garage at 5 a.m., long before he claimed to have left for work. When they played the footage for him, his breathing changed. His jaw tightened. Detective Lee leaned in and said, "Chris, this is your chance to tell the truth." Hours passed. Then, something inside him cracked. "It wasn't like that," he whispered. "It wasn't her. It was me." And just like that, the mask fell. Chris confessed to killing his wife and daughters himself, alone, without provocation. He admitted to strangling Shanann in their bedroom after an argument about his affair, then turning his anger toward his children. The detectives didn't need details. The silence in the room said everything. When he finished, the officers sat in stunned quiet. Across town, news broke that the beloved mother and her 2 little girls were gone. Friends and neighbors stood outside their family home in tears, the front lawn covered in flowers, candles, and handwritten notes. Shanann's best friend, Nicole Atkinson, who had first reported her missing, told reporters, "She was kind, loving, and proud to be a mom. I can't believe this happened to her." The town of Frederick felt shattered, but for investigators, the case was far from over. They wanted to understand why. What could drive a man with a picture-perfect life to commit such an unthinkable act? As they dug deeper into Chris's digital life, text messages, deleted photos, and secret accounts, a disturbing truth began to surface. There was another woman, and she might have been the reason for it all. When investigators discovered the name Nicole Kessinger, everything suddenly made sense. She was Chris Watts' co-worker, a young woman he had been secretly dating for weeks before the murders. At first, Nicole didn't know she was part of a nightmare. She thought Chris was separated from his wife, that his family had moved away. But when Shanann and the girls were reported missing, Nicole's world turned upside down. She saw the news alerts, Chris standing on his porch, pleading for his family's safe return. The same man who had told her he wanted a fresh start. Something inside her broke. She went straight to the police. Through her tearful statement, she handed over text messages, photos, and call logs that painted a devastating picture. Chris had been living a double life, one filled with lies, secrets, and plans for a new future. In one message, sent just days before the murders, he told Nicole, "We're almost free." Detectives now had the motive. Chris wanted to erase his family, to start over. The illusion of a loving father had crumbled, replaced by the image of a man driven by desire and deceit. In court, the truth finally came out. Chris sat silent as prosecutors described every step he took to hide his crimes, from loading Shanann's body into his truck to driving miles away to dump evidence. Family members sobbed in the courtroom as photos of Shanann and the girls flashed on the screen. Shanann's parents, Frank and Sandra Razusek, faced him directly. Through tears, Sandra said, "You took away our whole world." Chris never looked up. In November 2018, facing overwhelming evidence, Chris Watts pleaded guilty to 5 counts of first-degree murder, unlawful termination of pregnancy, and tampering with a deceased body. He was sentenced to 5 life sentences without the possibility of parole, ensuring he would die behind bars. The courtroom was silent as the sentence was read. Even the judge, his voice heavy with disbelief, said, "This is perhaps the most inhumane and heartless crime I've handled in my career." Today, Chris Watts sits in a maximum security prison in Wisconsin, spending his days in near total isolation. Letters still arrive, from strangers, from people fascinated by his calm demeanor and chilling lies. But for most, the case remains a haunting reminder that evil can hide behind the most ordinary smile. Outside the Watts family home in Frederick, Colorado, neighbors still leave flowers on the anniversary of the murders. They say it's not just to remember the tragedy, but to keep the light of Shanann, Bella, and Celeste alive, a light Chris could never destroy. And that's what police found next. Not just evidence of a crime, but proof that even in the darkest acts of betrayal, truth always finds a way to rise.